right, everybody, how you doing? I'm Dustin, and lining up another interview here with the one, the only. How you doing there, MetalJesusRocks?
Hey man, I'm doing well. I'm glad to be on your channel. It's awesome.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm smiling. I've been looking forward to this interview because I'm a big. Well, I don't want to say. I'm a big fan of your channel. I want to overstate it, but oh man, it's for anybody. Well, okay, let me step back. For anybody who hasn't seen your YouTube video, which I don't know who hasn't. You want to describe, like, roughly what you do?
Sure. So the channel's MetalJesusRocks, and I guess what I've learned over time in describing it is that the way I envision my channel is that I do video game lifestyle, and that sounds kind of heady and out there, but the way I look at my channel is that I do everything that is video game related. Pickups videos, I go to conventions and expos like PAX, I hang out with my friends on the couch and play video games, and then I also do hardcore reviews of specific games. Typically, I like to do those on reviews of games that maybe not a lot of people have heard of. My background's on the PC, and so I do a lot of PC reviews. But I'm also a musician. And so part of my life is playing music in a band. So I play every week. As a matter of fact, I'm going to have band rehearsal tomorrow night. And so music's a big part of my life as well. And it's a big part of a lot of gamers' lives. And so I like to cover music a little bit on my channel too. And so I think that's one of the areas that maybe sets my channel apart a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, and like I just said, well, I haven't said it before, but your videos are very fantastic. And it's the main reason why I had you on, because they're so good. Yeah, and you sort of incorporate, well, and especially in the intro, is the metal guitar rock. And it's really good stuff, but I don't want to gush too much. So,
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, one interview actually I wanted to talk about was that actually brought me to your channel was the HeMan review. I love that review so much.
Well, thank you. That was a crazy review, and it was crazy because it took so long to make. In choosing that game to review, I kind of poked around on YouTube a little bit to see if anyone had done what I considered like the definitive HeMan review.
Yeah.
And Mark from Classic Game Room did one that I think 100,000 people saw, and actually I thought was pretty funny, but he didn't really play the game as it was meant to be played. He just tried to kill off the fish.
Oh.
And so what I decided to do with that review was actually film myself playing the game, so capturing video footage and also aiming the camera at my face for 2 or 3 months at a time.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically build from all that footage a review. I think overall I may have had 8 hours of footage to edit through and come up with little nuggets of stuff, but it was really fun. I gotta say that I was pretty happy with it, although it was, to give you an insight into that video, it started at 8 hours, right?
Yeah.
And then I narrowed it down to 26 minutes of stuff that I thought was interesting, and then I played it for my wife and ended up cutting way more down, but it was definitely a lot of fun, so I appreciate the compliment. I was happy to release it to the world.
Yeah, I mean, and I had a buddy of mine who was talking about obscure video games, and I pointed him to your channel and said, you need to watch this review of this game, HeMan, and he had no idea what I was talking about. I said, yeah, HeMan is a game made by Dreamcast, or released on Dreamcast, or you use a microphone, you talk to these fish with human faces.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
It sounds nuts, and it's narrated by Leonard Nimoy, right? Of Spock fame.
Oh yeah, that is. Yeah, I forgot about that.
It's so weird. And you know what's really funny is that in the last week, I've seen a bunch of new views of that video review. You know how YouTube tells you the traffic, and a bunch of new comments. And I've been trying to figure out why so many people are finding this video. Well, it's because it was announced for the 3DS.
Yes. Yep.
And I was like, whoa, that's really cool, actually. So it's going to be a whole nother generation of HeMan fans out there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially in your videos, the quality, I mean, really comes out. I mean, it's not easy to put together videos, that's for sure. I mean, especially 8 hours condensed into 26. Holy cow. Or was it 28?
Well, it started off at 26, and my wife helped me whittle it down to, I think, 16 minutes is what I finally ended at. But yeah,
nice.
It's a lot of work, I think. And as you know, when you make videos, the challenge for me is always to take something that a lot of footage and sort of whittle it down into something that won't bore my wife. Essentially, to be quite honest, that's exactly what I do every week. I do my rough cut of all my videos, and then I hand my laptop over to my wife and I say, okay, watch this video, and if she can make it all the way to the end, I know I've got something good. So
oh, there you go. Yeah. And I do the same thing where I'll watch a video, and if I'm sitting there getting bored, I probably should work on it a bit more. Yeah.
It's tough though, right? Because, it's your content.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I'm my own worst critic, so maybe I should get more people involved. They're like, can you watch this for me? Because I can't stand to look at it anymore. I've been too involved.
Yeah. The thing I find really hard when making videos, especially reviews, is I know all the pieces to a game, right? I know what the graphics and the story and all that stuff is. And it's hard when you're editing video to forget that and watch it with fresh eyes and be able to figure out what is needed to tell the story. And that's what my wife really helps me with. A lot of times my videos don't start off with descriptions or title screens at the bottom of it, because I forget that, I know what a Sega Saturn is, or, you know what I mean? Or I know how this game relates to this game. And then my wife will watch it and she's like, what is this? She has questions. And so that's when I start putting in extra stuff to explain. And
okay. Well, that's very good to have a little help there. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm giving her a plug tonight.
Yeah, because I've done that before where I've made videos and then I watched it. I go, well, and and I started making videos now where I sort of I spell out things a bit more because I've got to because I'm a big video game fan and I've come to the conclusion that I assume that everybody knows what I'm talking about, which probably isn't true at all.
Well, or as you know, on YouTube, there's a really strong gamer community that has grown up with games, but YouTube reaches such a broad audience that myself, I want my videos to appeal to everyone. And so I want them to definitely be hardcore and for the hardcore gamer who lived and breathed the stuff. But I also really don't want to exclude people who maybe are interested in learning about it in television, or they may not even know what a Dreamcast was or how it relates to the PlayStation 2 and stuff like that. So I do try to always try to remember that, just because I want those people to come and subscribe to my channel too, and then they become fans. So
yeah, well, and it's my hope that just maybe people listening to this will definitely go and check out your channel. I mean, just because actually I shared one of your latest videos. I want to say the last, because you just recently made a new one, but the how was it, the video where it was rare Sega titles. That was very, very interesting stuff I'd never even seen. That was very well done. Well, and actually that one was more or less hosted by Drunken Master Paul, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So we went down to Longview, Washington, which is a town that's pretty close to Seattle, and there is a world-class mega video game collector down there. His name's John Hancock. He's been collecting, for 20 years now, and he has almost every Sega game ever made for every console.
Nice.
Yeah, and not only that, but they're all complete in the box with the manuals and all the extra little paperwork. It's amazing.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and so I've met him at some of the local retro video game expos, and he invited me down there last year to just kind of shoot video. He's always willing to show off his collection, and so we went down a second time recently, and I kind of put Drunken Master Paul in front of the video while I shot it, and it was a lot of fun. It was definitely, you go down and you hang out with John Hancock and you see stuff that nobody has seen. I mean, he's got stuff there that only he has,
Yeah, I mean, I was watching that video just looking at his wall, because it's so there's so much going on in there.
Yeah, it's crazy to walk in that place, man.
Oh. And then there was a part in the video where I believe somebody spilled beer.
Yeah.
Did he spill beer? Is that what it was?
Well, so the joke is that last year when we first went down, we did a big Nintendo tour. So on one entire wall of his game room, he's got complete N64, NES. I mean, he's got stadium events, he's got all that stuff. During one of the breaks that we were taking, because we were actually down there for 2 days, we love beer, and he was really cool. He let us have beer in his room, and Paul accidentally shook up his beer and it started to overflow and spill a little bit on the floor, and we captured it on film, actually.
Okay.
But, everything was good, and John was very cool about it, but so that's kind of the running joke.
Oh, it was a call. Okay, I missed that part. Oh, very cool. Yeah, and then the other video that I liked, which was I Hate You, when you had to dance to Britney Spears. That was, oof.
I know. That was a fun video to make because I tried to envision, like, what are two weird games that I could make Paul play, you know?
Yeah. And I think I really enjoyed those videos because, well, first off, because your plan sort of backfired on you, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it did. Thanks for rubbing that salt in, buddy.
Sorry.
Yeah, it did. And Paul's a funny guy because he doesn't play video games quite like I do. Like, he loves his genres and he loves his specific games, but I thought I was just going to crush him, and I didn't. So, yeah, it backfired.
Well, that's unfortunate. I mean, and one thing I wanted to touch on, and I'll kind of move away from that stuff, but is that you used to work for Sierra, a little company back in the day, right?
Yes, I did. So it was Sierra at the time in the late 80s and early 90s was one of the largest video game developers in the world. I mean, that includes on consoles. They were huge.
Yeah, I mean, as a guy, I'll be honest, like I said before, that I don't know a whole lot about those old games, but I remember you telling me that it's definitely not just trying to get some of them to work correctly.
Right. So the thing that's really interesting is that if you were a gamer in the 90s, you were typically either a console gamer or you went the PC route. And so Sierra really focused like a laser on the PC market. And at the time, for the first half of the 90s, it was Microsoft DOS. And, you know, that's where the DOS prompt comes up. People have to edit their auto exec. They have to create things called boot disks. You have to really worry about the hardware. And then in the second half of the 90s, Microsoft released Windows and Windows 95 and Windows 98. And so that's where things started to get a little bit better. But it was definitely a pretty tough time to be a gamer because the operating system was changing a lot and hardware was changing. It was almost doubling in speed, every 12, 16, 24 months. It was a pretty crazy time. And Sierra was right in the middle of that. They were actually the forefront for a lot of that stuff. To try to get ahead of it, we actually made and sold our own video card. We would team up with sound card manufacturers because not everyone who bought a computer would even think or consider getting a sound card or a CD-ROM drive or a 3D accelerator video card. And so, that's Sierra's blood right there. So they want gamers. So it was definitely a challenging time, but it was also really exciting. It was changing very fast.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, even today there's always the PC versus console debate going on.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a little in both camps. I like all video games, and actually I think you're kind of the same way. Like, you kind of like a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I do. Although it's funny because in the last 10 years I've actually swung towards the console side because I didn't own any consoles in the 90s. So, for instance, I never owned a PlayStation 1. I didn't own a Super Nintendo, So now the exciting thing about my collection is, I'm playing Dreamcast games for the first time. I just got a Saturn like 4 months ago. Never even touched one before. The Genesis for the first time. A buddy gave me a Genesis, and now I'm building up my Genesis collection.
Oh, wow.
So for me, a lot of these games are actually brand new, and that's been the really fun and exciting part for me because PC games are kind of, I've been there, done that. I did it professionally for so long that now I'm kind of like a kid in a candy store picking up these games for a couple bucks and playing them for the first time. It's cool.
That's very interesting. That's sort of a good situation to be in because I grew up in a console era or world, and I'm still finding stuff, but to have it completely fresh, that's actually pretty cool. Have you found any games on consoles that are just gems to you right now? Like, you're just like, wow, I cannot believe I've never played this before.
Yes, there's a lot of them, and I guess when I'm on a kick right now is shmups, shoot 'em ups.
Okay.
Because on the PC there just wasn't that many great shoot 'em ups. In the 90s, man, shoot 'em ups were everywhere, and so I've been on a kick collecting for the Saturn, which is a fantastic console for shoot 'em ups.
Oh, there's a lot of them on there, yeah.
Yeah, and also the Genesis has a ton of really great shoot 'em ups. So I just the other day I bought a Genesis game. It's a shoot 'em up called Hellfire, I believe. I got so Hellfire by Seismic. What else did I get? I got Fire Shark. I'm looking at a stack of games here. Thunder Force 3 I picked up, and then I got Darius Gaiden for the Sega Saturn. So anyways, that's an example of sort of games and genres that I'm really sort of discovering for the first time on consoles.
Have you played, since you mentioned the Dreamcast, have you played Ikaruga?
Yes. Actually, I have that on the GameCube, but I don't have it on the Dreamcast.
Okay.
Although a shooter on the Dreamcast I absolutely love is called Mars Matrix.
I have not heard of that.
Oh my god, it's awesome. And another game is Gunbeard 2 is also on the Dreamcast. Another shoot 'em up.
Gunbeard?
I'm sorry, Gunbird.
Oh, Bird, okay.
Gunbeard, yeah. It's a Western.
Just from the title alone sounds amazing.
And then also, I'm looking at a stack of Dreamcast games here. Like a couple other weird ones that recently that I picked up, like the Typing of the Dead on the Dreamcast. Have you played that?
I have, actually. I like that. I kind of like it, even though it has the bad dialogue.
Oh, dude, it's so bad, but it's so funny, right?
Like, oh, please help me. Oh no, Here they come.
Well, the fact that they run around fighting these undead zombies, and they've got little typewriters, strapped to their chest. I mean, it's just so silly.
It's very silly, yeah. Because I played that, and I played, I believe, the other version of that, which is just the cursor moving around the screen. House of the Dead, I believe.
Yeah,
okay.
Totally.
Oh, just terrible dialogue, but very fun game. It's weird. So, do we have any of those maybe reviewing in the future? Like a teaser, perhaps?
None of those, and that's a good. You would think I would plan this stuff out on my channel more, but I really don't. Honestly, most weeks, I'm standing in the shower going, "What do I want to do this Friday?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
okay,
that's a good idea, though. I think Typing of the Dead, like a really in-depth review of that, showing the keyboard and all that stuff. That might be a good idea.
Look at us.
Yeah.
I mean, because I mean, especially since the HeMan review, I think Typing of the Dead definitely deserves some attention too. I mean, especially it's so bizarre too, So do you generally sort of gravitate towards unknown or maybe, I don't know, hidden gem type games, I guess, for reviewing?
Yeah. One of the things I do is that I do look on YouTube to see if there is even a need for a game. Because that's kind of how I got started on YouTube, is that I started looking around and I didn't see a really definitive review for one of my all-time favorite games on the Atari 2600, which is a game called Hero by Activision. And I just loved it so much as a kid. And you'd see some gameplay footage. So anyway, that was the moment where I'm like, okay, I'm going to make the definitive Hero review. And so that's kind of what I try to do, is look and see, is there a need for something? There's really no need for me to review Final Fantasy VII or Super Mario 3,
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think if you typed Mario Brothers into Google, it would just explode.
Yeah. And the other thing too, it's kind of fun to go and play some of these really weird games. Like HeMan is a game where, as a game, I have a hard time recommending it because it is so bizarre and it's not for everyone. But when you're doing it, because at the end of it you've got this really interesting review, it just sort of helps it along. And so, I do think I look for some of the more weirder games because they're kind of fun and typically they make good video. It's easy to comment on something that's a little out there,
Yeah. Feeding the HeMan.
Yeah. Trying to teach them swear words,
Well, and I'm the type that I generally subscribe to YouTube channels that have stuff that that is exactly new to me, and that, I mean, like I said before, and that's what pulled me in, and pretty much every video after that is just fantastic. And actually, I have to go back in the archives and watch them all. Actually, and I forgot to say that Xbox just had a new update when they added YouTube, and you can watch YouTube channels one video after another. And I watched one of your videos one night and I fell asleep. I woke up 8 hours later and it was still going. Like,
really?
Like, I woke up and was like, oh no, like I should turn that off.
Well, you're contributing to my channel views, so I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, tons. I woke up, I was like, wow. And I think I started with a pickup video, and then I ended up somewhere in PAX, and then I don't know. Actually, cool. I remember that I believe it was a PAX East video where you were shooting in the park, and you kept stopping me because there was some weird guy looking at you or something, or watching you.
Yes.
Oh, I said, what was going on with that, by the way?
Well, what was going on was kind of exactly what you saw in there. That. One of the things I like to try to do, if possible, is get out of my game room, because everybody on YouTube has a camera pointed at their face and you see games behind them. And if possible, I do like to take the camera outside and try to shoot. And so I had this great time at PAX, and I found a lot of really cool stuff. And I'm like, and we were having amazing weather in Seattle. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take my camera, pack up all these games, and take them out to this park that I live by. The thing is, though, is I don't necessarily live in one of the best parts of town. It's not a bad part of town. It's not like dangerous here, but it's a mix of people. And so here I am in this park, and I also had to pick a place that was fairly secluded because I didn't want to be interrupted that much. And it was a Sunday morning, I believe. So I had these people who were kind of watching me. I had this one guy who was hiding behind these bushes, and he wasn't that far away from me, and he just stared at me like, you know.
Oh, that is creepy.
Yeah, I mean, he could have stolen everything and sold. I don't know. I mean, thankfully, I'm kind of a big guy, so I think I was okay. But it was definitely kind of pissing me off a little bit.
Yeah, and I remember watching that, going, oh, just the look on your face. I was like, man, I don't know. For some reason, that always stuck with me. We could always scare him away with your rock, right?
That's right. Just show him the devil horns.
Just show him give him a wheedly wee or something. I don't know.
Yeah, really. Don't make me whip out the guitar. I'll summon Satan.
So yeah, I mean, I forgot to mention that. Well, we have talked about that. You're a musician as well, playing a band. What kind of music do you guys play, by the way? Is it just strictly metal? I want to say.
It leans more towards punk, I think, is what most people would say.
Okay.
And so it's. I would say it's a mix of, what we actually sound like is kind of the band Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, or No Effects, or maybe Pennywise or something like that.
Oh, very cool. I like it. Actually, I like all of those guys, especially No Effects.
Yeah, totally. And so my wife plays drums, and you see her on some of my videos. She's really cute. She's 5'1", but yet she's this total punk rock heavy metal drummer. And then Drunken Master Paul, who you mentioned earlier, he and I met while working at Sierra, and we've been buds ever since. And he sings, and then his wife plays bass. And so typically every weekend we get together down in our basement here. We have a fairly large basement, and half it's dedicated to video games, and the other half has a full band setup. And then we practice down there. So and then we occasionally play out.
I wish my basement. Actually, I wish if I had a basement that it would be exactly like you just described. Because I'm a big time. I love music and I love video games. Just half and half divided. Very lucky, man.
It's definitely fun. So we bought our first house a couple of years ago, and one of the stipulations I needed was a basement that we could finish and make it exactly like that. So it was very cool.
Ah, man.
Yeah, so I play guitar, and I've been playing since probably '93. So it's been a while.
And unfortunately, I've tried to learn guitar. I'm just not patient enough. That's why I play the drums, to be honest.
Drums are, the funny thing is that I don't know how it is where you live, but, guitarists are dime a dozen. It's the drummers that are actually who are needed in bands, because you pick up some of the local musician papers here, the magazines, and there's article or ad after ad of people looking for drummers. So it's a good gig.
Yeah, and I think maybe I should get back into that lifestyle, because I think you're right. That is, I want to say it's the same over here, where there's not a lot of drummers. There's about 100 guitarists for every one drummer.
Yeah.
Well, good thing I never picked up the guitar then. Started just beating things with my hands, like stomp.
That's right.
Well, and I guess here I'll change the topic, but you used to very professionally review video games, didn't you?
I did, and I like how you say professionally.
Yeah, very professional.
Professionally.
That's the Minnesota accent coming out. I apologize.
That's fine.
It's hard to listen to. Anyway.
Yeah, I did, and I think it's interesting. The reason why I think it's sometimes interesting for people is because you see a lot of kids who they'll tell you that's their dream job, right? Like, I get to play games and write reviews. I'd love to do that.
Oh yeah.
The reality is, and the reason why I chose to stop doing it after about 5 years, is that the vast majority of your time is reviewing games you would never ever choose to play.
Oh.
And in the beginning, it was awesome. For the first year or two, it was amazing to me to have FedEx and UPS drop off a new box at my doorstep every single day with new games and consoles and stuff. And there's definitely something to that. Then the reality sets in that, guess what? This week, let's say Skyrim comes out, but you've also got to play some Barbie horse adventure game and this and this and this, and all you really want to do is play Skyrim.
Yeah.
And so occasionally in the news, in the gaming news, you'll hear of someone who has written a review that may not be accurate, or maybe they didn't play it to the end. In the back of my mind, I'm sitting there nodding my head going, yep, that's because playing games that suck is not a lot of fun. Well, and I think a lot of people don't realize that, anywhere from 10 to 40 games come out every week. I mean, if you count the DS, the Wii, even games are coming out now for the PSP still, and not including today where you have like the iPhone games, and all of that stuff is expected to be reviewed when you're a professional reviewer. So I guess the reason why I bring that all that up is because it's a surefire way to burn you out on a passion of yours. And so after 5 years, I shut it down, and I called up Sony and called up Midway and Acclaim and all those companies and basically said, I'm shutting down the website. Thank you for sending me all that stuff all those years. And I just wanted to play the games I wanted to play. The great thing about YouTube is that it's rekindled my desire for reviewing, and I get to review what I want to review now. And you mentioned sort of some of the more obscure games, and that's so fun to do, to be able to choose and not have to do something every week. I get to decide myself now, and I also get to think about, okay, what do other people want to see?
Yeah, and I guess the nice thing about YouTube is that you can dictate your own terms. Mm-hmm. You can go at your own pace. This week I'm going to look at blobbity blobbity, instead of getting. I really don't feel like playing Ponytails all the way to the end this week. Yeah, I think we're kind of winding down here. I don't know. Do you have anything else for us, or the interview? I suppose.
No, it's been cool being on your show, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was very nervous earlier because, like I said, I'm a fan of your channel, and I think everybody should definitely go, on YouTube and check out MetalJesusRocks. Because, man, you make really amazing videos.
Well, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, I mean, and did you have MetalJesusRocks.com?
Or it's MetalJesus.com.
Or Metal. Okay.
I don't know why I didn't get MetalJesusRocks.com. That's just a total oversight on me.
Come on. No, I'm just
kidding. I
know. All right. Well, Metal Jesus, thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. I'm sure other people.
Thank you for having me on here. I was looking forward to it as well.
Cool. Very cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe and all the good stuff, and I'll talk to you later.